Welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm Chad Landers. Thanks for checking out the new show. Our next guest continues the trend of local field hockey players who have turned hard work and success into Olympic aspirations. But this former Calico Lady Eagle actually changed sports after college and is now training in a winter Olympic sport. So let's welcome to the show Calico grad Savannah Graybill. Savannah, thanks so much for coming on Let's Talk. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me to take part.
Yeah, excited to have you here. This is going to be our first conversation together. And why don't we just kick it off right here? Fill us in. What are you up to these days?
Well, I have been training all summer to prepare for a potential upcoming season. Obviously, with COVID, we're not sure what's going to happen yet. But as you can see behind me, I am not at home. I'm actually back up in Lake Placid, New York at the Olympic Training Center. And looking forward to getting back into training here. I'm actually in quarantine for a few more days. So in order to come back into the training center and keep everybody safe, we have to quarantine for a few days. But in a few more days, I will taste some sweet freedom.
Yeah, I know, right? You'll be allowed out of your room for at least a little bit, and you'll get back to it. I'm curious, real quick, before we get into it, how long would that season be if you were able to have it?
We're still waiting to hear what that kind of looks like. So from the IBSF, which is the International Bobsleigh and Skeleton Federation, they oversee all things bobsled and skeleton for all organizations. So right now their plan is to go ahead as how the season is laid out. They will update us on September 15th with any changes. So obviously it's just dependent on kind of what the world looks like and what's going on. So I will know more by then.
All right, cool. We've got a lot to talk about, so let's get into it. I want to hear about all the Olympic training, but it's probably better to start all the way at the beginning. We'll go back to Calico High School, where you were a three-sport athlete, most notably excelling at field hockey. But you know, when you were a field hockey player, two-time LL League All-Star, leading scorer for the Lady Eagles for your final 2 years, from what I researched. Also played basketball. You did some track and field. You know, you were pretty busy. What was it like balancing all of that in high school?
I honestly didn't know any different. I loved playing sports and loved being active. So for me, sports were really an outlet to kind of let everything else go. So always loved doing that. Juggled, school on top of that. I was part of student government and National Honor Society, but I just remember wanting to be a part of everything in high school and trying to find a way to make it happen.
Looks like Savannah Graybill scored the goal.
All right, so I am guessing field hockey was your favorite because you went to college for it. So what was your favorite part about playing field hockey in high school?
The thing that always comes back to me and that I always think of, especially as the fall comes around, is, when preseason's starting and you can hear all the athletes outside warming up, and to hear the sound of a ball making contact with the stick and the passing and the trapping, that sound is just like music to my ears to me and just reminds me of so many really good memories.
Free hit for Warwick, intercepted there. Nice interception by Savannah Graybill.
I love that on a team level, you're all trying to achieve one thing. And there's nothing better than scoring a goal and turning around to all of your teammates who are so excited for you and so excited for the outcome.
Yeah, well, you're talking about a lot of what I wanted to cover there. Teammates, you played for Krista Page as a coach. Are there any funny stories, from your Calico days as you guys were kind of going through the seasons there?
I think the one instance that sticks out to me the most, which I think is funny to this day and just goes to show that's my type of attitude. But I remember playing a game against Lancaster Mennonite, and I'd come off the field for a substitution break, and we weren't playing very well that day. And I remember something that had happened on the field, and Krista had come over and called me over very sternly. I was like, okay, and she basically looked at me and said, if you don't get back in there and score a goal, I'm gonna pull you out. I was like, okay. Went back in, scored a goal, and we eventually won. I don't remember what the score was, but I love that kind of candor with a coach, that I want you to tell me what you want and I'm going to go give it to you. So that's one thing that always sticks out to me.
All right. Well, we've had conversations with her, and she joined us for a little bit of looking back at the 2010 team when they were there. When you were there in 2005, 2004, you guys would play Warwick a lot in the playoffs and even, maybe in the regular season. didn't kind of go Cocalico's way a lot. Was it frustrating facing such a good program in Warwick all the time?
Yes and no. I wouldn't say frustrating. I think it was always thrilling and exciting to face such a good team. And I had the same feelings in college whenever we would face opponents that we knew had a very, very good team. But it really forces you to be at the top of your game, and it forces your entire team to be at the top of their game, because it's not just a one-person effort. Just because one person has the game of their life doesn't mean you're going to win. So I always appreciated those matchups because I knew they were going to be hard, and I knew that at the end of the day, I would come away a better player, whether or not our team won.
And goal. That was, looks like Savannah Graybill that scored the goal. Okay. That's the game, and it looks like Cocalico Lady Eagles are the winners, 1-0. This is probably the first time that Cocalico has beaten Warwick.
Some great senior memories there.
Yeah.
And then you kind of went on and you picked American University Division I. You played 4 years there. I kind of looked into your stats a tiny bit. It seems like you had 39 goals, 12 assists. So pretty decent career there. Why did you pick American?
I had been on a lot of official visits that fall. I didn't decide until late in the game that I had really wanted to play field hockey. I hadn't done a lot of the right things that you're supposed to do to get recruited. So Krista Page actually helped me put together a recruitment video showcasing my skills, and we sent it out everywhere. And I got a lot of really great results. But when I finally scheduled my visit for American and walked onto that campus, I just knew it was right. It was in Washington, D.C. It was exciting. They had a great broadcast journalism program, which is what I studied in school. And just watching that team together and the way that Steve Jennings coached, everything about it made sense. And the second that visit was over and we chatted at the end of it, there was no ifs, ands, or buts. I was signing and I was going to American.
All right, sounds like you had a lot of fun there, some good experiences. Here's an experience I want to talk to you about. From what I understand, after college, you graduated with a broadcast journalism degree and maybe eventually made your way here to Blue Ridge 11 to be on the field hockey telecasts. Do you remember that? Do you remember what that experience was like?
Yes, I do remember that. So I got into doing some color and play-by-play for the field hockey broadcasts with Shanna Miscavige, who also works for Blue Ridge. And I saw her on your, over the 20 years, the broadcast featuring all of the different sports, but for her field hockey. And I loved it. I love the thrill of live TV. And that's always been something that's just been so exciting to me since I got involved in high school with the television production program. So I remember having the best time. I got to sit in a booth and talk field hockey with one of my best friends. So it was a good day.
That's what I do for basketball and for baseball. So yeah, it's a good time. I'm glad you joined us, and I can't wait to look back at some of that and show everybody kind of your little tiny footsteps into that. But then, of course, you switched things up and started heading down the Olympic career path. Here's an interesting thing, though, that we learned in doing some research. Your dream was to play Olympic field hockey, but somehow you went from a Division I field hockey player to an Olympic skeleton competitor. Can you give us the Cliff Notes version of that?
Sure. So I always thought, like I said, that field hockey would be my path to the Olympics, and that was my passion. It was what I wanted to play. But my senior year, I was really having a hard time making it through all of the workouts. I was having some like hip and low back issues that we just could not figure out and resolve. So about a week after I had come to the conclusion that I wasn't going to be able to pursue that dream, my strength and conditioning coach at American had received an email from Alana Myers-Taylor, who is now a pilot. At the time, she had just come back from winning bronze in Vancouver as a brakeman, and they were recruiting more brakemen to join the team because there were a lot of people retiring and a lot of brakemen transitioning to become pilots. So in my mind, that was my sign that I wasn't supposed to give up the Olympic dream. I was just supposed to find a different avenue in which to pursue it. So I said yes. I responded to the email. I signed up for a combine test. I went up that summer and took the testing and did really well. But as it turns out, I'm much better suited size-wise for skeleton, so I made the switch.
Okay, interesting. I saw that. And hey, you are where you are for a reason then, obviously. And when we talk about skeleton, most people, we don't know exactly what it's like to be in that sport. So from what I understanding, you're flying head first down a track of ice at what speeds of like 70, 80 miles an hour. So can you describe for the average people out here what that's like?
I can try, though. usually a really difficult thing to kind of explain. But like you said, I'm head first on a sled, just an inch or two off the ice. And I don't know, it feels like you're flying, but there's pressure, but it's chaos and it's calm, and I don't really know how to like put it into words, as much as you just feel free and you feel in control. And I guess it's kind of like ultimate sledding if I had to truly put a word on it.
Okay, I hate to put this one out there, but have you ever crashed?
I have.
Okay, how did that feel? Were you scared?
I remember that I've only ever had one bad crash where I like lost a sled. It's the worst one of my career, and knock on wood, I won't ever have any more like it. It happened in my very first season competing on tour. When it happened, I was pretty naive to what was going on because I knew what I knew about sliding. I had about 4 months of sliding under my belt and was competing internationally. But I remember it happening in slow motion. I remember being in a position that I wasn't supposed to be in and thinking to myself, oh no, you really messed up. And I basically came out of a corner too early, and there was still a corner to go. So I got picked back up and barrel rolled out of the corner. I dropped from about 3 or 4 feet in the air onto my back. Luckily, still in the track, I was above like the walls that keep you in. And I was probably going about 60 miles an hour at that point. So it was not a good time. It hurt a lot, but I lived to tell the tale.
Okay, and we're avoiding that ever again, right? Yeah.
Yes, a lot of knocking on wood on my behalf.
Whew. All right, so take a deep breath. I would love to hear about your Olympic aspirations and the journey, in looking at kind of your bio. You were trying to make that 2018 U.S. Olympic team and missed it by just the one spot. And obviously, you had to be devastated. Can you clue us into how close you were and maybe how that's motivating you for 2022?
So the Olympic year and qualifying is really crazy because there's a lot that goes into it. It's, all of your training, and when you come to team trials, you really need to make the World Cup team that year in order to even be considered. It's hard to make an Olympic team from any of the lower tours that you can compete on. But I had checked all the boxes, made the World Cup tour, started competition, and had an okay first half of the season. But the second half was where it really kind of fell apart for me. You can qualify up to 3 sleds for your country, and that's dependent on a lot of other things going on with other teams and points and countries and things like that. But at the end of the day, we only qualified 2 spots, and unfortunately I just was ranked number 3. So it was really hard, but I think to come that close and know that season was not my best. I wasn't sliding the best that I've ever slid. I was in the best shape for that time, but I'm in even better shape now. I think really motivates me to know that I'm ready this time around. I felt ready last time, but I know I'm ready this time.
All right. Well, I personally am a huge fan of the Olympics, watch it religiously, so I hope that we get to watch you someday compete. So good luck with your training, the qualifying. We're looking forward to 2022, and we hope to see you there over in China. Thanks so much for coming on Let's Talk.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Always great catching up with an Olympic athlete. We'll have to keep an eye out for Savannah as 2022 gets closer. Hope you enjoyed our show today. I'm Chad Landers. Come back next time for plenty more conversations on another new episode of Let's Talk.